This is 6 rolls of toilet paper. Also, it has the same number of pieces of paper that I have subscribers. So thank you very much for 2,000. You should have saw me last night on the live stream. That was a celebration. This is just funny. So now, just like my YouTube career, every time I flush one of these down the toilet, I'll be reminded of myself. The 2012 MacBook Pro, one of my best videos that I've ever made. It's got some of the most views that I've ever gotten on a video. How is it holding up over a month later? Well, I've been using it for a month, so I have a lot of things to talk about. Let's discuss. But first, don't forget to check out my social links in the description down below, along with the Patreon, my website. To start, I do want to clarify one thing real quick. I had a video that I said, don't buy the 2012 MacBook Pro, and then like a month later, I was buying the 2012 MacBook Pro. That 2012 MacBook Pro video that I said, don't buy it, it's solely based on price. The upgradable versions of the 2012 MacBook Pros, I think, are too expensive for what you get, especially when there are other MacBook Pros like the 2013 and 2014 that sometimes go for even cheaper than those. And while you lose upgradability, I thought the extra power that you gain and the better screen and all of the benefits of the new Retina MacBook Pros were worth it compared to the upgradable 2012 MacBook Pro. So now that we got that out of the way, because I did get a lot of questions about that because it does look like I'm contradicting myself, but I do a lot of my things solely based on pricing, and I purchased that MacBook Pro behind me along with a Thunderbolt display for $600. So should you buy one of these computers in 2019 still? Well, I made a list of the pros and cons from using it for a month that I want to talk about. Then we'll answer that question at the end, so skip ahead if you want to know the answer or just watch the video. So to start, we'll go with the pros. Obviously, this 2012 MacBook Pro I got for a really good price, but even pretty much any 2012 MacBook Pro, even the upgradable ones, are still going to be fairly cheap, under $600, $700, $800. And for a computer that's a Mac that has 4 cores, that's powerful and still supported, that's still pretty good. I'm not saying it's the greatest price performance ever if you buy it for $800, but I would look to try to get this specific model for about $500. Obviously, you could purchase it for $600, and that's a pretty comfortable price, but I like to purchase something knowing that in the future, if I wanted to sell it, I could always maybe get all my money back, and actually, I like to make a little bit of a profit on it, even though I used it for a little bit of time. That's some of the great things with buying used hardware. Next is it's pretty powerful. I was able to edit every video you've seen since I made that video, which was also made on a 2012 MacBook Pro. From then until now, it has been edited on that computer. Although there have been some slight hiccups I do want to talk about that we'll get into a little bit later, but so far so good. It's been powerful enough, and I've been able to use it with my 1080p video shot on my GH5. It's not the most demanding footage of all time, but it's relatively demanding, and it has been working really well, especially with the Thunderbolt display. Next is the thing I always talk about with MacBook Pros, is the trackpad. It's awesome. I love the trackpad. I cannot say enough about the trackpad. The gestures, the way it works with the operating system, the acceleration, everything, it just works so well. It's so well optimized that it's scary. I've enjoyed using it so much, and I just can't suggest a Mac trackpad any more than I already do, but I'm gonna even suggest it now that if you're using a Mac computer like an iMac or a Mac Pro and you don't have a trackpad, I really would suggest looking to buy one just because it really makes the experience so much better in Mac OS. Next is everything that a Mac is. It's thin, light, powerful, portable, connects with my phone, everything that's good about having a Mac computer. That's been stated in every video ever I have enjoyed in this computer, and that's obviously a pro because that's why you buy a Mac. Mac OS is really well optimized, and I have enjoyed using it. And next, this is kind of cheap, but the Thunderbolt display, I've super enjoyed using that, especially plugging it into an Ethernet cable. Everything just works so much better when I'm using that Thunderbolt display. The bigger screen, the faster download speeds, the faster upload speeds, everything is just much better with the Thunderbolt display. I've been able to use my hard drives that I have laying around here as backup drives, and it's just been really, really nice, and I have really enjoyed using that. But now let's get into the cons, and I do have quite a few things to complain about with this laptop. I'm somebody who is constantly switching computers, so do keep that in mind that what I say about this computer is solely what I think, but at the same time, I enjoy switching computers. So if I choose to switch from this computer, it's not because it's the worst computer ever, but just because I just like to switch. And on this channel, I am kind of constantly showing off used hardware, and I like to kind of use those things. So it's a little bit of preface before I get into these cons. The first one, battery life, is abysmal. It's terrible. I had 60% battery left on that MacBook Pro. 60%, right? And I opened it up knowing that I had 60% battery left because I just looked at it a few hours before, and it shouldn't have burned that much battery in that time because it was just closed in my backpack. And the computer wouldn't turn on because it said it was out of battery. Kind of weird, right? So I got out of my car, walked back inside, went to an outlet to plug it in, and it immediately booted up and had like 58% battery left. So that's weird. The battery is a little bit old on this thing. It's from 2012, and these Retina MacBook Pros, changing the battery is a little bit of a hassle. A lot of bit of a hassle. Right now, it's currently not being plugged in. It hasn't run out of battery yet, but it might, actually. No, it's still good. But you do need to keep this in mind. It's an older computer, and changing out this battery is kind of difficult. You got to like heat it up, use some type of solvent to dissolve the glue that they use to stick the batteries in there, get a little credit card in there and start scraping it out, and then be able to get that out. So it's not the easiest thing. It's nowhere near as easy as the mid-2012 MacBook Pro that's upgradable, where the battery is literally held in by like 4 screws. So do keep that in mind, especially if you're trying to decide between the Retina and the non-Retina. Personally, that's kind of a big deal. Actually, I'm sort of leaning towards not getting the Retina 2012 MacBook Pro just because of the difficulty of upgrading that battery. 2013s, I've always had pretty good battery life on, so I guess maybe it's just this one laptop, but I can say that I'm a little bit disappointed in the battery life. I have been able to use it anywhere that there was an outlet. So it's a portable computer, but it's kind of needed to be plugged in almost all the time. It does hold its charge, and I can use it, and it does work kind of okay off battery, especially if it's fully charged. But the battery percentage is really erratic. Like, it'll go from 100% to like 55, and then I'll stop editing the video, and then it'll go up to 85, and then down to like 60 when I start editing again. So it's really sporadic. So do keep that in mind. Older laptop, older battery. That's kind of the negatives with buying used hardware. But the positives are that I purchased this laptop and a Thunderbolt display for like 1/4 of the price of a new MacBook Pro, and they both kind of work the same. Plus, I got the Thunderbolt display out of it. The screen issues, this is going to be a little bit tougher to explain, but I have had a lot of screen issues with this MacBook Pro. Essentially, what's happening is there is a ghosting effect going on. So if I am sitting on this page and I swipe over, it'll still show me what was on the previous screen sort of in the background. I will show a video of it, and hopefully I can capture it. It really shows up when you're going from a light image like a YouTube page where that's predominantly white to a darker background like the dark theme in Mojave background, or just a black screen. So keep that in mind. I mean, that is a problem with these 2012 MacBook Pros. The Retina original MacBook Pros did have this problem, along with the screen peeling. I haven't noticed anything on this MacBook Pro, but do keep that in mind. Also on this one, there is a single dead pixel that I noticed like a week into using it. It was super bizarre. I didn't notice it before I was using it and before I made that last video, and I didn't notice a screen ghosting effect until like a week later as well. But then I did notice I have one dead pixel, but that just probably is my own single case, the dead pixel wise. But the ghosting effect is kind of common for these Retina MacBook Pros, so do keep that in mind. The storage is slightly slow, and the computer sort of feels like it's lagging behind just like half a second sometimes. Like, even when I open it up, I have to click a button in order for the screen to turn on. I know this is nitpicking, but when you're used to opening up a MacBook Pro and having the screen click on, it's weird to have to click a button to get everything to click on. And the storage, I think, is fine, but I think it's sort of made some of my footage lag in Premiere Pro. I know that when I edited a video during this month, I edited part of a video on a 2013 MacBook Pro, which has much faster storage and a more powerful CPU, but the more powerful CPU is only marginally, and the graphics card is only marginally more powerful, but the storage is much faster. I noticed a little bit of a difference in editing and how long it took me to edit on the 2012 compared to the 2013 MacBook Pro. Do keep that in mind that the storage, again, it's from 2012, it's 7 years old. It's not the fastest of all time, although it is still an SSD, so the computer does still feel snappy. It's not like lagging behind like a hard drive, but the storage is relatively slow. The fans spin up almost immediately every time I even open the computer, it seems like, and this is after cleaning out the whole computer with my fancy little cleaning brush tool, along with reapplying the thermal paste onto both the GPU and the CPU. So again, it's an older processor with older hardware and older cooling, so it's just kind of gonna have to be how it is. It's not the worst thing in the world that the fans spin up, because I never ever hear it because I always have headphones on. But I do know that if you are using this in a setting where it can't be loud, or you're worried about the cooling because you have to use it on your lap, or you're using it like on a blanket, just know that the cooling will definitely suffer from that. Funny enough, my cat was sitting behind the computer and the video was lagging a ton, and I'm like, Stitch, you gotta move. And then he moved, and then the video stopped lagging, so definitely keep that in mind when you're using this computer. And obviously, as mentioned, when comparing to a 2013 MacBook Pro, which is more expensive, and obviously more powerful. It does sort of lag behind in almost every single regard. It should. It's a newer computer, the 2013 compared to the 2012, but do keep that in mind where sometimes these 2012s go for a little bit more than they should. And the Retina 2013, late 2013 is the one I would suggest purchasing. If you could find that for a cheaper or similar price to this, I would suggest spending that 50 or 100 bucks it takes to buy the late 2013. Now, does that mean I don't suggest this MacBook Pro? Not even in the slightest. It's a great computer. I've edited some really beautiful videos on it. It's not the machine that makes the person using the machine. It's the person using the machine that makes the machine great. As long as the machine can handle everything you throw at it in a relatively good way, then I would suggest that this computer is definitely something to look into. It's a great, powerful computer. Comparing it to the upgradable MacBook Pros, I kind of have a tough time suggesting the Retina one behind me over one of the upgradable 2012 MacBook Pros due to the upgradability, obviously, and the ability to add extra storage, add faster storage, and stuff like that. So this computer is interesting. I don't know if you should buy it because it's a good computer. Don't get me wrong. I like the computer a lot, but there are just two options that I would suggest buying: either the late 2013 or any of the 2014 MacBook Pros, or the 2012 MacBook Pro that's upgradable, just because you can just get more for your money. And while you might spend a little bit more on the upgradable one, you do have the option of switching out that battery easier. And then you do have the option of upgrading the storage a little bit easier. So I can't totally suggest buying the Retina version of this computer, but any 2012 MacBook Pro, that's the upgradable version, I would suggest. But I would definitely look at a late 2013 because those only go for about 50 to 100 bucks more in some cases. I know in some cases I've actually purchased them for cheaper. I bought one for 540 bucks one time, shown on the channel. So definitely look into that. So thanks again for watching. I'm Scott with Techno Eclipse. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching. 2,000 subs. That's ridiculous. All right. Thanks again. Peace out.